So I think that I care a lot about playing the banjo and learning how to play the banjo. Obviously teaching the banjo, all these things are kind of my job, but it's just something that I care about and spend a lot of time thinking about. And I know that you probably do as well, because I get messages on a daily basis from people who are either really excited about what they're learning or really discouraged about how difficult it is to learn, how difficult it is to play, and how it feels when that doesn't go the way that you want it to go. And these questions take a lot of different forms. And some of these messages and comments are more overt. One recently said, I was going to give up until I found this video. And it was a lesson that just unlocked something for them in the process of learning how to do this. And some of these questions are more subtle, but I think they're actually conveying the same sentiment. It's questions like, how much should I be practicing? And how much progress should I have made by this amount of time? And how long have you been playing the banjo? And how long had you been playing the banjo when you were able to do this thing? And some people just talk about being discouraged and saying, no matter how much I practice, it doesn't work. I don't get what I want from this process. Sometimes I have answers for those that are specific and related to their experience if I have enough information, and that's great. But a lot of the time, this all falls under this general umbrella of just dissatisfaction with the process and results in general. And that's something that I and probably everyone faces in almost every facet of their life, right? We want something, we do what we think we need to do to get it, and then it doesn't always happen, and that doesn't feel fair, or it just doesn't feel good. I have those feelings all the time where I work very, very hard at something, or I feel like I do, and then I feel entitled to a result. I want a receipt that says you did the work and now you get the results, and the results are good because you did the work. Unfortunately, that is so rarely the case. So one of the things that I've resorted to that actually helps a lot is to think less about the results, which are fleeting and happen in one moment, and more about the process, which is actually what most of the life that we live is made up of, is the process of working on things, learning things. That's most of what we actually do. So I'm actually more inclined to enjoy that process than another. But before I kind of go on and on about my feelings about this, I thought I'd actually share with you some stuff that helps me have some perspective on what the process of making progress, practicing things, learning how to do things, making things. And these are things that aren't necessarily the answers to all of my problems when things don't go the way that I want them to, and I'm not playing the way that I want to, and I'm not learning as fast as I want to. It doesn't solve everything. It just points me more in the direction of what it is that I'm actually doing when I practice or when I play the banjo in any context, if it's a jam or a performance or anything like that, what the point of that is. So there's a really interesting person named Seth Godin whose books I've read and whose interviews I listen to, and he does a lot of really interesting things. He has a lot of interesting things to say about making things and making progress and practicing and sharing things with people. And so when I feel like that, I will go to people like this that I feel give me some perspective. So anyway, I'll say for the second time before I go on and on and on, here is some wisdom from Seth Godin that I find extremely valuable. And these are audio clips, so I just had to go out and film some stuff that you can look at while you listen to this as well, but it's clearly unrelated to the content. Anyway, other than that, that's going to do it for this one. I'll see you next time.
If you went to school, you have heard the sentence, will this be on the test? The question, will this be on the test, means, dear teacher, you're asking me to give up some of my life and time and attention to expose myself to some facts. I'm willing to trade those for an A. And that's the only reason I'm interested, that the result is the entire point. And this attachment to the outcome paralyzes us, because if we're not sure it's going to work, then we don't want to do it. So we say, show me it will work, prove to me that this is the way it is, and then I will do it. And the alternative is to say, you know what, this is work worth doing even if it doesn't work. It's work worth doing because the process of me doing it, the way I feel doing it, the effort of doing it, the chance that it could touch someone else, all of those things make it worth it. And if it doesn't work, I'm still glad I did it. Now, with that said, we can now decode what confidence is. Because what confidence generally means is you're sure it's going to work. But if you're leading or making art, you can't be sure it's going to work because you're leading or making art. The paradox is you got to do work you're not confident of. How? By trusting yourself that you have a process. It might not work, but what you're doing will work better than the alternative.
And the challenge is not that the world can be solved. The world is not a problem that can be solved. What is true is that there are elements of the world, tiny, tiny elements of the world that you can make better. And perfect is the enemy of good, and good is the direction that we need to head. That the opportunity is to find the smallest breakthrough that you can, the smallest viable breakthrough that is worth your effort, and simply do that. Merely do that. Not just do that, because just minimizes it. Simply do it without commentary. And then pile on and pile on and pile on. Because there is never, ever, not once, a complete solution from the beginning. That's not how technology evolves. It's not how interventions evolve. Instead, we find something, we pull the thread, we do our best, and then we learn from that. It's an algorithm. We evolve it going forward. So when you're feeling overwhelmed by how defective all of the elements of your solution are, agree with it. It's true. They are defective. But at least you're going to make something better. And then you get to do it again.